Hey, good morning, everybody. So it's cold this morning, and there's finally snow. We didn't get a white Christmas, but we're definitely getting a white New Year. So woohoo! That's awesome. It's not even that cold. All right. Anyway, so yeah, I feel a lot better this morning, and today I was up early. But yesterday, I tell you what, man, yesterday I felt like I was under some kind of, I felt like I was PMS, but not really, because I went through those hot flashes type healing symptoms from my reproductive system. So I know that I'm going through a major healing process. I know some of you have asked, like, how long you think it's going to be. Well, I'm still trying to hit amenorrhea. Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm trying to hit amenorrhea. So it means that, if I was to be on, say, I don't know, because the last length of time between my cycles was 49 days. And so my last period was December 8th. So what's 49 days after December 8th? Probably sometime in February, right? I'm thinking, yeah. So I probably won't get my period this month. I might get it next month, or I might not at all. I don't know. So the one thing that never has happened before is the hot flashes. So, like I said before, when you're on the protocol and you're going through the healing process, you're going to deal with past issues, present issues, and future triggers. Past issues, you could have had, a broken leg that didn't heal 100% because nothing heals 100% in the matrix. When you have a broken leg, you may heal, yes, and it may seem like it's new, yes, but it's still weak. And then over time, as your body breaks down, that injury will then come to surface even more because it's just not getting the nutrients it needs to actually 100% heal. So you'll deal with past issues, obviously present issues. That's what brought you into the protocol to begin with. And then future triggers, things that hasn't happened yet, but it's already, a trigger in your body, and it just hasn't been set to trigger until all the conditions were right. So that is what I'm dealing with, is future triggers. So yeah, if I didn't know what was going on and I was on the protocol and I didn't read the book and I was just going in it like blind and I was getting a hot flash like that, I would think that the protocol turned on menopause. No, the protocol does not turn on menopause. The protocol does not destroy the body. It's all nutrients. And I've also healed my PMDD because I wasn't getting all those symptoms. So it's interesting how the PMDD was completely different than this healing symptom, which would have been menopause, the hot flashes. So it's interesting. They're very similar, but yet they're very, very different. So, so yesterday, I was feeling just fatigued. I had to take a nap yesterday. I felt like a bus hit me. I just felt like my body aches. It was just weird, but it's not a flu or anything. I know what it is because I felt like when I was, had PMS, PMDD way back when. And then of course, yeah, the sleeping a lot and everything, going to bed around 10, and then having insomnia. Like I posted about, I forget what the post was, but it had in the comments, it had the menopause symptoms. So go look up menopause symptoms, and that's the healing symptoms I'm dealing with right now. And basically check mark each one. That's what I'm dealing with. Hey, Monica, good morning. So, but today I feel really good. So it's like, okay, that's awesome. And I think maybe I had one healing symptom of a hot flash yesterday, but they have subsided. But I'll tell you what, it was like on like Donkey Kong a couple of days ago. My husband's like, "Oh my God, you're menopausal." Oh, I'm like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And even relations were a little bit difficult too. So I knew that this is the healing symptoms of that replicate menopause. So I'm like, okay, this is awesome. And I'm totally, hey, Michael Savage, and I'm totally welcoming all of these symptoms, all of these healing symptoms, because I know that my body's going through a major biochemical change. And when you read menopause symptoms, it seems like it's on the, it's like the same as if you were trying to induce amenorrhea. Now, it's not going to be great for my husband because, he wants it once a week. And now you're seeing it's going to be a little bit difficult to do all that that reproduction, recreational stuff, but we'll figure it out. But we do what we got to do, right? I mean, if we're trying to get 100% good health, things will change. Stuff is going to change. A lot of things will change. And I'll do the best I can to, and hopefully he'll do the best he can to meet me somewhere halfway. So, that's where I'm at. And then also with this protocol, you're going to have a lot of clarity of thought. Now, I'm looking at my background. My mother went to law school, and so she's a Juris Doctor. She's definitely one of those that you can't get over, right, at all. And my dad, is in he's an engineer. He went to Rensselaer, so he's highly educated, in the chemistry area. And my mom's also a psychotherapist. And I'm noticing some very interesting clarity of thought to where you're writing in a way that there is no room for interpretation. And then, I'm looking at, my background with my mother being a lawyer and understanding, emotion versus logic. And my mother is probably more logical than she is emotional. And that's what gave her background of having that law degree. And she went through, she didn't she didn't do the bar, but yeah, I mean, it was one of those where I'm looking at now how I write, what other people write, and what I respond to. And then I'm watching all of these courtroom dramas. And it is very, very black and white when you're asking witnesses, what happened, or when you're cross-examining somebody, you ask very, very clear, concise type of questions to where you get a clear, concise answer. And there is intention behind those questions because you're trying to, build a case, build credibility in all of this, or you're trying to catch somebody in something, right? And so that's a training, right? When you're a lawyer, that's a training. You have to really learn how to put your emotions aside and just stick to just the whole problem at hand. And so the law does do this, attempts to take away the emotions, take away all the emotion and the histrionics around certain things and just make certain things black and white. But the law is also ever changing based upon just where our society is going, right? I mean, you're seeing the laws change around procreation categories, around discrimination, around a lot of different things. And so that's why you have these different amendments, because it's always changing, in the direction of where society is going. And the laws will change even more. I mean, that's just kind of the nature of what's going on at this point. So I'm looking at, and I notice my communication between myself and, some of my followers, and we're all on the same page. And I know the intention for the most part, not all the time, because I've had people that have got on the protocol and that have since went back to the dark side. They went back to the cannabis world, or they went back to the holistic world, and they're, promoting cannabis and hemp and then the keto diet and all of that. And so I'm always on my guard, especially when, I know that some of my responses and the way in which I build my boundaries didn't always come off diplomatic, tactful. And I'm going to say, and here's the thing, we all can have this out. Biochemistry. Sometimes we're aware and we can stop ourselves. Other times our biochemistry takes control and we just say things. Okay. And I can watch myself respond. And I know that I am reacting from a very hormonal perspective, but I just have to say it. I don't stop myself. Okay. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast. Sometimes you're aware that your hormones are in charge when you respond, and sometimes you're not. And and so as long as we, as long as we know we can clean up messes if we have to, and then we do that. And I've done that. I mean, I've yelled at people that are in my inner circle, and I've had to come back and say, I'm so sorry, that was a little harsh, or but we know we're coming from a good place. But hey, Kevin, and even though my intent, it still doesn't excuse me, right, for yelling at somebody or acting, out of turn or not being clear. So, when you know that you've done something that was not right, or you may have affected somebody that, that wasn't right, and you really, then you go back and you clean it up. Now, there have been times where I have like really came down hard on somebody, and I really didn't want them on the protocol because I felt something like my gut was telling me that this person was just blowing smoke up my ass, and I'm not sure I really want them because, really commenting. And so I make clear communication, and then I find that they're doing something or saying something or trying to undermine or attacking one of my people. And then I come unglued, right? And then I push them away. And then I'll leave it up to them for them to clean it up. Because, if they have a desire to be in my world, then they'll make the first move to do that. If I have a desire to be in their world, then I'll make a move to apologize and and clean it up. But not everybody deserves to be in your world. Some people do have to toe the line because you don't know their intentions. And so, yeah, I'm always working from that standpoint. So my revelation lately has been that about the body, mind, and spirit. Okay, when you get your body right, which is you're taking in the nutrients, you're clearing up the cobwebs, you're getting rid of all the emotion. I mean, not every single emotion, because you're always going to have somebody cause you to react. And, we want to have a little bit of empathy, or we're going to be in a cold world. We don't want a cold world either, but we want a balance, right? To where we're not so emotional and so loving, but we're not so cold and sociopathic where we have no regard for people, right? We want to have regard for your fellow people, right? So you get your body right, which means you're taking the nutrients, you're clearing away the cobwebs, you're reversing your cancer, disease, and chronic illness, you're getting your hormones in balance. And then you start making the right choices. You start actually analyzing, you start thinking more in a more proactive manner. You're not coming from reaction and then having some kind of, misinterpretation or chaos or, a fight or something, right? So your mind actually starts getting aligned with your body. You're not having that tug of war. And this is where over the summer with Kevin, was that I started just exploring the spirit side of it. I got, Kevin's perspective, and he had a major perspective in the spirit side, more so than I have. His shortcomings was his body and all of his issues, right? But he really understood the spirit. It probably just didn't come out always correctly, I'm sure, because it's very hard to really see the spirit for really what it is through all the different mutations, right? But he really understood that the spirit had a major component. Just how it had a component with this protocol, he wasn't sure how to articulate to me. So I went to Portugal, and he brought me into his circle of people, and Sasha Day, who has been doing a lot of spiritual work, and then somebody else like Peter Sage was one of the speakers talking about the divine, and then Kevin's all about the spirit and then the energy and the healing and all that, which is great. And then some weird stuff happened too. Like I don't know, when I was in Portugal and I was sitting at that in our Airbnb, and I was looking out at the panoramic view of the whole city, because we were on a hill, and the sun was shining into the windows because we had all like these huge windows. And I just started, and I was looking through my eyes, obviously, right? And I just see these little filaments. And it was so weird because I've been in different places where they have sunshine. And I just started seeing these little filaments. And maybe it was parasites. I don't know. But I see these filaments through my lashes and through my eyes when I looked a certain way. It was just so weird. And then being exposed to some of the seminars that Sasha Day was putting through before I spoke. And then I went to a religious site. It's called Fatima over there in Portugal. And it's where they had a sighting of Mary, or the spirit of Mary, and these two kids that were told to come to this site, the site, once or at certain times in the month, and they would go and talk to God or something. And that was a major religious site. And I sat through a Catholic church choir, and I do have some, some figurines here in the house. But that was like a major spiritual journey that I had no intention. My intention was to go there and talk about the protocol and give a speech to all these young up and coming, kids from all over the world. And it turned into some kind of spiritual thing that I was like, okay, I'll just go with it, right? And then I started having interesting dreams. I started seeing that my spirit, I didn't have to force it out. I didn't have to go, because they were telling me, like, how do you get in touch with the spirit? And I had a few fights with some people when I was over in Portugal with one of my inner circles about how much of the spirit, does take over. What should you be doing to conjure it up? And that was a little bit of my exploration, was trying to figure out, do you force the spirit out, or does it come to you? That's what I've been always, I think my whole journey in my life has been like, why does everybody seem to have a religion, but yet I don't feel any kind of desire to go and be Catholic or be Jehovah's Witness or be go back to the temple for Judaism. I was raised Jewish, right? I didn't want to pretend. You don't pretend those things. Maybe some people do, I don't know, but I never felt like I needed it to where, or I needed to belong anywhere and to then fall in line because I needed to have people around me. No, that was never. And I did go to different churches. I did go to like a Jesus cult in Hawaii. That's why I was in Hawaii. And nothing ever spoke to me. Nothing ever spoke to me. So I'm just like, okay, well, then I guess I'm going to be the only one in this whole world that has absolutely zero spirituality. And I was okay with that. You maybe call me an atheist, but I didn't even think I was an atheist. I knew there was a higher power because, man, how can all these people be wrong? How can they all be wrong? But yeah, we can chalk it up to parasites. They're talking to parasites. But no, that's so easy to do. And there has to be, there's got to be a higher power. Because, I played the Ouija board one time when I was 19 or 18 or 17, which explained probably a lot of why I had a lot of bad luck when I was a kid, because I was playing the Ouija board. But I was a little messed up too. Had a lot of angst. So I knew that when there's a power that can move the Ouija board, to move that little puck over the board, I know there's other powers out there that are good. And so that's why I never discarded the notion that a higher power exists. I just didn't know which one it was. We have too many choices. How do you choose? You just, throw the balls in the air and which one lands first is the one you choose. No, I don't. So I just left it. And so maybe one day something will tell me, maybe I'll have an epiphany. Well, I guess through my process, through getting my body right, which is taking my recipe, and then I started mental clarity. I started uncovering things. I started, finally getting revelations about the protocol, about the science behind the protocol, the wherewithal to be able to withstand the pressure from my government, from all the different trolls, from everybody, and then me going through the different moderators and dealing with the change from going from the group to the website and dealing with just all of the hurdles and that I had to jump through. So finally, I started having these dreams, these really vivid dreams. And these dreams, I would look up all the different meanings, and then there you go. Wow, this dream means this, or this symbol means this. And then it would align with my journey at the time. So there's the spirituality side of it. And I don't always dream every night. It seems like the dreams that I have are only there for certain things that I'm going through. Because I didn't dream last night. The other day, I dreamed about, the last dream that I had was about milk, cold, white, creamy milk. And then you Google what that means in dream symbology, and it was right on. I do feel like super, super healthy. Okay. So then I'm like, then I'm, uncovering things about empaths, and about oxytocin, and about adrenaline, and these are all the different hormones and everything. And I know I have a lot of empaths on my protocol, a lot of empaths. About cheese. And so I know, and I know empaths, they have great intentions. So do people on adrenaline. I think everybody out there, no matter what it is that you do, no matter who it is, the most heinous person, whatever actions, the most heinous person out there, even Jeffrey Dahmer, okay? They all have wonderful intentions. They love life because the reason why they love life is because they're living. They've kept themselves alive. So the fact that you're alive And even though you may be doing some crazy stuff that not everybody would agree with, you still value life. However, the mutations in your body, whatever they are, tend to manifest your intention of life in a very yucky way sometimes. Morning, Kate. Thank you. And so then we're looking at, words, okay? And we're looking, and we know because we have people that are like working from adrenaline and fear, right? And their intention. So all the activists, right, that are working from these crazy adrenaline, they're looping in their same stuff over and over again. They have great intentions. They want to save humanity. And, then they are kind of keeping themselves alive. But when it comes down to it, they're not keeping themselves, alive indefinitely. So they may have great intentions, but their mutations has caused their intent for life to be a little skewed, because they're still buying into the pills, powder, supplements, cannabis, and all that. And they won't admit it because they have never heard anybody talk about possible immortality, except for maybe like what? Ray Kurzweil and his nootropics, but he's aging, right? All they hear about is just managing cancer, disease, and chronic illness, not continuous life. So the intentions of life and love and protection are a little skewed. And then you look at people that go to war. Why do you go to war? You go to war because you're trying to protect. You're trying to protect life. But yet you're killing to protect life. You see how skewed that is? So then, then there's the empaths. They want to just throw love at you and love you to death. But then from love is then judgment, right? Because if you don't come from love and you're not working from that love place, then automatically you're an evil person. But then they both beget each other, because when you love, you also hate. So those two are two sides of the same coin, no different than the allopathic and the holistic. So then I'm thinking like, okay, so now and I've been triggered, and you guys have seen me. I've been talking smack about crunchy mamas, talking smack about the naturopathics and the homeopathics and the allopathics, talking smack about everyone that doesn't do jelly juice, right? And that's coming from a trigger, from a hormone, because of the fact that I'm working through my own biochemistry, a lot of anger towards the allopathic and the holistic, because of the amount of time that I've been out doing this. And I know that I have triggered and I have purposely attacked people. And it comes from also trying to now make a point. But when you are going through a healing process, your communication isn't always going to land correctly to elicit the kind of outcome you're looking for. So I just did what my biochemistry, what I knew how to do. Attack, 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 make points, raise points, attack, 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 which is no different than the activist world. You attack, 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 attack. Okay, so now you've seen now a few changes that I'm making. And I know some of you are still working through all of your biochemistry, you're working through your communication, because when you have so much emotion, it's very hard to be very clear in your communication, because you have so much emotion, you're thinking stuff, you have stuff in the background, but then you're also thinking, how are you going to lay it out there to where you're not trying to offend somebody? You're trying to make a point with already this notion about somebody, but you're trying to be tactful. You're trying to choose your words very carefully, but yet if you're not being truly honest about what you feel, then you're saying what you mean, but you're not really meaning what you say. Or if you're not meaning what you say, then you're lying. One of the two, right? And that's the thing that what I've noticed about myself is I try to come off, if I didn't have all the words, I didn't have the clarity of thought, that when I communicated, I'm trying to communicate from a good intention, but then what I really feel actually comes out. And then when a person takes my information and they misinterpret or they react that I wasn't expecting, then I'm like, damn, that's all your fault. you're filtering my information through all of your crap, right? And that's the easy way to absolve yourself from responsibility. And then I'm just like, wait, hold on. So where am I responsible in my delivery? Where am I responsible in my communication? How did that get misinterpreted? And so this is what so I'm thinking like, okay, where am I responsible? And maybe it's because, we haven't fully figured out all the information out there on whatever subject matter that we're talking about. So we come from assumptions, and we come from, a certain kind of programming, and so and I'm trying to figure out how to put this, because this is a difficult subject matter, because this is about language, this is about communication, and communication is so crazy. And why we have so much chaos and miscommunication in this world is because we have an intention, but we don't know how to communicate it, and we're always missing the mark. Not all the time, but we miss the mark a lot. That's why we have this lack of unity with everybody, right? And so what I've noticed is that when I go on a page, like Living Off Grid or any other like holistic page, and I'm trying to drop some seeds, and maybe, and this is where I'm practicing, because I'm coming off now very, very humble, just trying to drop seeds of information. I'm not trying to point out, because here's the thing, when you make specific references to people, okay, let me just say here, let me just say the whole situation. Not the whole, but let me just say, give you a scenario. When you're talking about my inner circle, my people, and you're saying that, oh yes, this person is needed here, right? Because they're very compassionate. They're needed with the J Juice protocol. They're very compassionate. They have this attribute, this attribute, this attribute, this attribute. And they name 3 people that have compassion in how they speak, compassion in how they deal with people. And this is somebody's perspective, right? They have all this compassion in how they deliver, but they leave certain people out for whatever reason. Or they don't acknowledge that, yes, compassion may come out in different ways. No, they just said, okay, this person has compassion. So when someone's reading it and they're reading that, that comment, and they're just, and I read this comment, right? And I'm like, wow. So from what I'm taking from this, and I'm taking everything exactly from what she wrote, she's saying that I don't have compassion in how I deliver stuff. I don't have compassion. And then I'm remembering then how heavy-handed I have been. Yes. But does it mean that I don't have compassion, or does it mean that my delivery needs to be worked on, right? So I'm just like, and I got triggered by that. And then, and so I went through, my whole defense, right? And then she came back, she's like, you misinterpreted. That's not what I mean. Yes, you have compassion in this. Yes, you have compassion in that. And I didn't mean it like this. And I didn't mean it like that. And I'm like, okay, so here's the thing. There's a breakdown in communication when somebody misinterprets, right? And then the person who delivers says, hey, you misread me. It's your fault. You misread me. So I'm thinking about that whole interchange. I'm like, God, am I messed up? Am I fucked up that I misread her? I should have figured out. I should have known her intent, right? No, I was just reacting from the words. This is where things get really messed up in the world, right? Is we have these intentions, yes, but when you actually write words, those words say a lot. The words have meaning. It's not like she's in the same room with me that I know her personally, right? And that I know her intent. Yeah, she's been on my Facebook for a while. Yeah, she's had some great comments, but people have dropped off all the time. And people do have certain perceptions of my delivery that I'm going to be like, that I'm going to remember. And I'm going to see that, and I'm hoping that people will just, let it go that, you know, sometimes my delivery isn't always like tactful. So, but I understand that coming from I'm a work in progress. I'm not 100% there, but if you felt that I did something to you, then let me know, right? So no, so she's not in the same room with me. So I don't know her intentions. I know she's her intentions are good, but if you're gonna write something, okay, if you're gonna write something that's gonna mention 2 or 3 of my people in my inner circle, but you leave me out, what am I going to take from that? And so then maybe we need to clarify, right? And so this is where it comes. This is where I've realized now when I speak to a certain audience or to a group of people, or I know certain people are going to read this, and how, you know, I have to think about how people are going to take it. Now, I may have an intention that people are going to take it the wrong way, or they're going to feel triggered. Not take it the wrong way, they're going to feel triggered. And so, you know, if you're surprised at a reaction, then it means that you weren't clear in your communication. That's exactly what I'm saying. If you are surprised at a reaction, then there's something is missing in your communication. And so, and that's with, you know, with the people that you relatively know, right? Now, there's me strangers that are going to misread your information because they're not coming from a background. They don't have all the background. But even then, you know what? Even strangers, if we can speak in a way where it speaks to the average person's listening, that let's say you're on off living grid, and this is another example of how I didn't elicit any negative energy, which was crazy, right? Because you know that when I speak sometimes I'm like, bam, like, you know, totally untactful and running roughshod over everybody, right? But no, I was on living off grid, and I was responding to an article about inflammation, and I had zero emotion. I didn't point out anybody that had, you know, a certain attribute, because if you point out one person has an attribute, that means that other people don't have the attribute, right? So I didn't point out anybody. I didn't make any focus or make anybody wrong. I just said straight up information. And let me see if I can find that post so you can see what I read, because it was really very informative versus emotional. I wasn't trying to get a rise. I wasn't trying to make somebody more right than the other person. I wasn't trying to say that your attributes are far more desirable than somebody else. No, I was straight up giving information in response to an article. So let's see if I can find it. I may not be able to find it, but because oh, here we go. Yeah, it's not that far away. Go figure. Okay, so this is the article. It's anti-inflammatory coconut and sweet potato muffins with ginger, turmeric, and cinnamon. And I'm like, oh my God, those are all antibiotic, right? And so, you know, I mean, inflammation is basically the body trying to heal. It creates antibodies to protect itself. It creates liquids and all that stuff to protect itself from the pathogens. So I wrote, ooh, oh wow, they must have redid that post, or they deleted it. Let me see if they redid it again. Oh, there we go. They repost the same stuff. I don't understand why they do that. Okay, so I wrote, inflammation is the body trying to heal. No, I don't say, oh, you guys are stupid or anything. I say like that. September 13, 2018 is an article. When inflammation occurs, chemicals from the body's white blood cells are released into the blood or affected tissues to protect your body from foreign substances. This release of chemicals increases the blood flow to the area of injury or infection and may result in redness and warmth. Then I put why be anti. Then I got, you know, a few laughing stuff. And then, you know, they got a bunch of responses. And people were talking about, like, I think they are talking about chronic inflammation, like an autoimmune disease or constant pain. And then I put, hey, Amy Michelle, something to consider. Now, I'm coming from really a humble place. Pain is the body trying to heal. Inflammation is the body trying to heal, but it can't with anti-inflammatories. That is why there is chronic pain. We should explore why people are not healing. And yes, I would agree with you. I don't doubt that is probably what they're referring to. I'm just offering some different considerations. And then people have their responses. And then I put, yes, Lori, Kavanaugh, Lewarski. Absolutely. I'm not denying or ignoring that about, about inflammation and, whatever she had, MS, fibromyalgia, plantar fasciitis, and how she was able to kind of keep some of that pain at bay with plant-based therapies. So I said, yeah, I'm not denying or ignoring that. And I'm very familiar with plant-based therapies. But we need to consider why we are stopping the body from healing. Because once you're healed, you'll never have to deal with pain again. And you'll never have to use therapy again. But there's a reason why we switch from one therapy to another. And then we go from one disease to another. Essentially, we're playing whack-a-mole with our body until we pass away. And I'm so sorry you have some of those issues. And I know that that must be very painful, and it sucks. And I would give anything in the world to end the world's suffering. And I've never approached, when I'm going on a naturopathic site, anything like this. And I hope you don't take my comments as a personal affront to your situation. I really do sympathize for the pain that you're in and others. I just think we need to look deeper at what caused the pain to begin with and why we are stopping the body from healing. And then of course, you keep going down. And so it was a nice interaction. I didn't make anybody wrong. I didn't point out, I acknowledged, I acknowledged the players, and I didn't make anybody wrong. And I was very clear, and nobody took any offense to what I was saying. There was no room for any miscommunication. People may have they had their biases. Yeah, they didn't read everything, and they didn't always respond in the way. Some of them did, some of them didn't. But no one really, there wasn't a defense. There wasn't anyone defensive on their practices. Some don't understand that pain is healing, but they said, oh yeah, I relieve some pain with this or with that, and that's fine. And so my whole point is that now, with this protocol, we could all learn how to speak without emotion to where we get the facts that are unmistakable, not arguable facts. We don't want to be argumentative, right? We want to be able to put down unmistakable facts that nobody can dispute. Because it's in black and white, it's already been researched, it's already been proven in other experiential circumstances. And that's a lawyer's point of view. They, when you go and see how people get cross-examined, and then a lawyer says, okay, they start talking about or they start outlining a question to their witness, and then one of those lawyers, says, I object, not object, but hey, object, it's argumentative. And so then that lawyer has to then reconfigure their question so it's more black and white. It's like yes or no. Did this happen or did that happen? Not, well, do you know the intent of this person? Because how do you know intent? There's no way to prove intent unless there is specific factors that follow up that would prove, and that's what they're trying to prove is the intent, right? So there's no way to assume intent when you're trying to prove intent. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So I don't want to assume intention. I want to be able to, when I read something, when someone writes something and I read something, I don't want to misinterpret, especially if it's around my protocol. If it's something else, I don't really care. But when it's around my protocol and with me and my inner circle, then I don't want to at all assume the intent. I want to be able to read what it is and say, okay, I get it. I get where she's coming from. And hey, I am compassionate in my own way, but it doesn't always come out correctly, but I am compassionate. I'm just going through my biochemistry, and I don't want to be hand-holding every single person. And some people want to hand-hold every single person. And I come from my mother's kind of, way of doing stuff. It's like she's bootstrap mentality. She may have been more heavy-handed than some, but I guess it's better to have more heavy-handed than empathy and then somehow find a way to meet in the middle. I don't know, maybe it's easier to be more empathetic and then try to find a way to be a little bit heavy-handed to have some boundaries. Who knows? Maybe it's whatever you grew up with. I didn't come from a totally like, empathic mom that did everything for me and then one day decided to put boundaries and say, no, I'm not going to do that. How many mothers really do that are from that? That's hard because they already trained their kid to manipulate them into them, always forking over money or letting them, live at their house until they're like 50. I would say that it's more difficult for someone that's empathic to finally figure out boundaries. It can happen, yes, but I don't, it's difficult. But I think on both extremes, it's difficult to kind of meet in the middle unless you have the right conditions, the right, chemistry that's going on. So this is what I'm working on now, is how to be, that's what the last, 5 or 10 posts I have about clear communication. If there's a miscommunication, where are you responsible? If somebody takes something that you said, especially to them, because it gets personal, if somebody takes something that you said and they misinterpret it and you're surprised by their reaction, then you got to figure out, where were you not clear in your communication? What would have made them take it that way? Because now you are the one that's responsible. How they take it, right? You're not responsible for that. But if you're clear in your communication and you don't trigger their emotion, you don't trigger their empath side or their fight or flight side, you don't trigger any of their hormones, then they're not going to react. See, that's the key thing, is not to trigger anyone into a crazy hormonal reaction. And that's what I am shooting for. And that means that you can reach everybody. So if you're coming from an empathic point of view, right, then all you're going to be doing is reaching the empathics, but you're not going to be reaching the adrenaline people. So that's what I'm saying. This is about non-discriminatory type of communication, where you're not trying to tap into somebody's hormones and elicit some kind of reaction from them, right? No, you're just giving straight up communication that is going to appeal to what everybody wants to do. They want to live and have a quality life. Everybody wants, even when they say, oh, if you're alive, then you want to live. Nobody wants to die. The fact that people are dying, they've come to accept it, but they don't want to die. They just haven't figured out how to bypass the death process. So if we're not appealing to hormones, then we'll be able to reach everybody. So that is what my goal is, and my intention is to come from a place where I'm not an empathic, I'm not a total, fight or flight, adrenaline, let's attack. But you'll see when I'm going through my hormonal stuff, where I'm like yesterday when that lady asked about how to give it to her kids, and I'm like, right? That was a hormonal perspective. I recognize that, but I also don't want somebody to be depending on somebody telling them what how to feed their kids this, and they really have to come from this specific place. You shouldn't be doing the protocol if you don't know what you're doing, and you shouldn't be giving it to your kids if you don't know what you're doing. But maybe there was another way I could have said that. I don't know. The way the response in that group was, one of the ladies that was helping her out, she came from a great place, and she took into what I said, and then she added her empathy. Now, I had empathy too, I think, a little bit. I don't remember. Maybe you guys can tell me. I don't know. But that is the goal, is to where, and that's going to be amazing in sales, when you're able to speak to every single person's listening, because you're not speaking from emotion. When you speak from emotion and you're trying to speak to the other hormones, then you're discriminating against other people. And so I want to be able to teach myself, as well as my friends that are working on making, their life better, how do we get this information across without triggering? And so, you see me trigger everybody all over the place. So you've seen my shortcomings. And so this is the next challenge in my process, is how to get along. Because I already have the data. How do you get this information out there and have it reach everybody's listening? It doesn't matter how people react. People are going to react because they're reacting from Dr. Phil. They're reacting from PewDiePie. They're reacting from all the different fears, right? That's why we have all these people that are making assumptions, because they're feeding into each other's fears or hormones. And then you have people who are very compassionate and empathic and all that stuff, and they're trying to fix themselves. And so that's why, that's why I'm able to reach some of you, right? Because you're already there. You're done with the, you know, with the fear and all that. Now you're just like, I want to live. Give it to me. But it's still hormone based, because you're putting your love, when you're seeing the results, you're putting love into me. You're like, oh my God, you're so wonderful. Well, yeah, we're all wonderful. I just happened to accidentally come upon this, and now I have to share it because that's where I came from. So yeah, so that's the struggle that I'm in now, is how do I not trigger the hormones? Meditation, possibly, yes. But you know what? It's not, because it's not just meditation here, Kevin. This is the thing, Kevin. It's not just meditation. This is where, you know, Kevin's biasness comes out, which is okay. You really got to get your body right, get your mind right. And then meditation has a whole baggage to it. It really does. Because then people start to say, well, I don't need to have jelly juice and have the nutrients and all that. I can just meditate. No, because then you don't know what it is that you're meditating with. You don't know who you're conjuring up. People can meditate. People can meditate just, you know, walking outside. You have to understand that I'm going through a biochemical change. You can't give me a solution unless I get my biochemistry in order. That may be your solution to manage your symptoms, Kevin, which has kept you probably pretty safe, but it's not the answer overall, because it really, yes, that's what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? You were not clear with your communication, and guess what? So you are responsible for how it is I responded to you. But here's the thing, I don't even need to do meditation at this point. I just need to just get my hormones, which is the jelly juice and all of that. I don't feel the need to meditate. When I sleep, so that's what I'm saying. When you say meditation, that's like a purposeful thing that you're trying to do to conjure up certain things. If I feel I need to meditate, then I will. If someone tells you you should do this, you know what they're going to do? They're going to do the opposite direction. You can't tell people to meditate. You can't tell people to do jelly juice. You can't tell people to live your life the right way. You can't tell people to eat correctly. They have to come upon that desire themselves. No different than I can tell you that you should go on Facebook Live and be vulnerable and then get to the next thing. I didn't ask it to chip in for solution. I never asked that. Did I ask that right now? I never asked that, my dear Kevin. I never asked that. But I think you felt that you needed to impose your view right now into this. And I caught you. Because I know that's where you're coming from. That is the one thing that you're still coming from. Am I 100% there? No. Are you 100% there? No. Do you have the solution to everybody's problems? No. We have a way to be able to then figure out what would be good for us as long as we're on the right track. But for us giving the solution, like meditation, which has a huge baggage, no, that is not the solution. It may be your solution to manage. I wasn't asking for help. No, I'm not asking for help. Not at all, Kevin. Not at all. What I'm trying to get across is the fact that we are working through a process of peeling back the layers of the programming, and we're trying to get our hormones under control. But that's through the process of jelly juice. And like I said, remember, I wasn't totally fully on board with the spiritual side until this last summer. Okay, and then I figured out that spiritual side, which is through my dreams. It's not it's not forcing someone to meditate. No, that's the wrong way to look at it, because some people may turn to that. Other people may want to look at their dreams. Others may go to the Jehovah's Witness church. Others will go sit on a mountain and do whatever they got to do. Okay, that's fine. They will naturally go to that. You can't say that's how it is to get your hormones under control. Because look at the guy that you want to go see over there in Iceland. He's aging. If it was just about meditation, then obviously, then, you wouldn't be aging, right? And managing your hormones. So here's the thing. If you decide, when people go to church, that's meditation to them. When I go to sleep at night, or when I listen to certain things, or when I do things, that could be meditation. We don't want to put our own biasness, onto someone saying, hey, you should be doing this. The body needs nutrients. That's what the body needs. It needs nutrients. The body needs nutrients. The body needs the trace minerals. No, I don't. Just so you know, I don't need help right now, and I'm perfectly happy where I'm at. If it changes, and I'll let you know if things change. But at this point, no, I don't need to turn to meditation. But the body needs nutrients. Okay? And then when your body has nutrients, it reverses all of your different situations, or your different cancer disease and chronic illnesses. It'll get your hormones at bay. I am still going through a healing process. And that is because my body is because look, you can't force it. I mean, the body is going to do what it needs to do based upon the nutrients that it's getting. And it's going through, we don't know exactly how long it's going to take as far as the healing process. So the natural thing is, why not take in more nutrients? So yeah, so my gut reaction, so you understand my gut reaction at this standpoint, Kevin, I was like, ooh, no, no meditation. I'm not trying to force something that isn't there. That's like saying go to church when you have no inkling, when you have no desire, no background, no nothing. And so I learned about the spirit through my dreams. That's my meditation. Do you see where I'm coming from, Kevin? You can't impose that onto people. You've got to allow them to come to that themselves, because that's when you're being like a doctor and saying, okay, well, the right way is this. The right way is nutrition. That's the bottom line, nutrition. What comes from that nutrition, how it manifests in your body, is completely up to you and your background. If your background is meditation, then fine, then you will naturally go to that. If your background is a Jehovah's Witness, then you'll do the J juice and you'll go and sit and meditate in your church. If your background is Judaism and you're doing J juice, guess what? You're going to go to temple and be amazing at your religion. If your background is Christianity, guess what? You'll go to your church and you'll be doing the J juice and you'll be doing all this, doing whatever you do that's going to make your church better. So it's whatever it is that is going to enhance what you currently are doing. Now, some of you, I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I don't know. It's too early to say. Will this challenge some people's religions? It could, or it could enhance it. I don't know. That's not for me to say. That is not for me to say. Everybody has to come to their conclusion themselves with the help of nutrition. That's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm trying to make. If you just be honest and say, Kevin's like, well, my belief system is that everyone should meditate, everyone should do this, everyone should do that. It's no different than someone coming on my Facebook and saying, hey, everyone should believe in Jesus, everyone should go to Jehovah's Witness church, everyone should be an atheist. And I don't want that on my Facebook. I don't want people imposing their views, because somebody else may not believe in your meditation. They believe in something else, but guess what? They're doing the juice. We don't want to discriminate. We don't want that. That is not my intention, is to discriminate. I want people to come up with what their solution is of their way of life themselves. And that's based upon the access to nutrition. We know that there's a spirit, whatever that spirit is, we don't know, but the body, mind, and spirit, we will let people figure out what that spirit is. We can't tell them what the spirit is. People have to figure out for themselves. Okay? And as far as the hormones and meditation and hormones under control, that's still argumentative. Because even with even with my J juice, the hormones don't get under control right away. It takes time. It takes time. It's not going to happen right off the bat. And if you're looking to have something happen right off the bat, then you're trying to force something no different. Someone taking a vitamin D pill saying, okay, I'm going to take vitamin D because I have, sleeping issues, or I have other issues. And so they take this to remedy their situation. No, we're not using meditation as a remedy for keeping hormones under control. That's no different than a supplement. We're not going there. Okay. The spirit is left to their own, what they come out of, during this process. The body is based upon nutrition, and that's based upon the hormones. The mind is the choices that you make. Body, mind, and spirit. Okay? It's really in that order. You try to do the spirit first, then you're forcing something. You're trying to get the mind right. You're trying to do the mind first, and then, what's the mind? But the mind is out there. People are making choices on a crappy body using their mind, and it's all crappy. Head fog, making bad choices. So no, it's the body has to be in alignment with the body and then the mind, or the mind and the spirit. The body has to be in alignment with the mind and the spirit. The body has to be taken care of first. It really does. Then you have the mind, and then you have the spirit. So yeah, I got a major gut reaction from that meditation thing. So I apologize if I came off a little harsh there, but I know where you're coming from, Kevin. I know exactly, because that's where you've always came from. You've always came from that direction. And I want you to just kind of just chill on that. Let people determine that for themselves. The hormones have to do with the body. It's biochemistry. It's biochemical. The mind will start making the right choices. They'll start wording things a bit differently. They'll start being more clear. And they'll be more clear in their intentions. Believe me, if I'm asking for help, you'd know. But you thought you knew that I was asking, but maybe you wanted to give an answer about hormones. I'm not looking for any answer about hormones. I'm talking about how we communicate and how hormones get in the way of our communication. That's my whole point here. I'm not asking for anybody's help at this point. I'm trying to get you guys to understand where I'm coming from here, and how this may have impacted your world and your communication. How do we reach everybody? Well, we don't elicit a reaction from them, right? We are straight up about science. We're not, and meditation is argumentative. That's what I'm saying, is that when you know something's argumentative, when you know someone's is going to dispute you when it comes to that, because there's already, Jehovah's Witnesses are like, no meditation, no. This is, it's unscientific when it comes to, well, I don't say it's unscientific. I don't want to say that. There's a lot of baggage when it comes to that. So let's leave meditation at its door right now, and let's leave that alone for a minute. Because we don't want to discriminate. We don't want to discriminate against, the Jehovah's Witnesses or the Christians or anyone that doesn't do meditation. We don't want to do that. We don't want to turn them off. And that's a huge turn up. But see, that's the thing. That's lack of awareness. When you're using argumentative things like meditation, Jehovah's Witness, Jesus, Moses, the Bible, atheism, Republican, Democrat, when you start using those types of trigger words, you then lose a certain amount of people. You lose an audience. And that's from lack of awareness, where you're thinking that this is the right way, the only way, right? This is what I'm talking about. We have to come from a standpoint where we can speak to everybody's listening, where we're not turning people off. And that is the struggle that I'm going through and that I'm working through. And some of you are still stuck in your stuff, which is fine. But if we're going to write a book, we need to reach everybody. We're not going to just reach only the New Agers that are doing meditation. We're not trying to just reach the New Agers. We're trying to reach everybody across all boundaries, across all cultures, across everything. Okay? So, I know your intentions are pure. Okay, Kevin? And, when you do write about it, you'll come from the perspective of a certain healer, and that's fine. But we're not trying to say that meditation is going to be the answer for everybody when it comes to getting hormones under control. No, it could be a perspective that could work in this world. but it's not necessarily a necessity. And that's where we have to come from, is that, Jehovah's Witness could work for a person. That religion could work for a person. They're on jelly juice, and that's great. But it's not necessary to be able to reap the benefits of the protocol. That's my whole point, is where we're getting rid of the dividing lines and the arguments and the disputes and the oh no, that's not right. It's this. We're coming straight from the science of biochemistry. So yeah, the energy healing is a little bit on a very slippery slope, because it could be it could be it could be considered as a religious, so it's one of those where we're gonna have to figure out how to position that information where we're not disenfranchising another population. So it's going to take a lot on us to be able to figure out how to communicate that where we're not disenfranchising this person. Okay, because we have a lot of different belief systems out there. Do we know the end result? Do we know that people are going to question their religion at the end of this whole protocol for them? No, we don't know that. It may even enhance it, may even make it better. Who knows? It's still so early on to know the actual ultimate outcome with all the different religions that are out there. So we have to tread carefully and see if we can speak to everybody's listening, not just one segment of the population who are still mutated. Remember, we're dealing with mutated people. So you start coming from the energy healing, which is great as long as you position this. Hey, if you're in the energy healing world, this could enhance. But believe me, you don't have to do meditation to be able to reap the benefits. You could be, and that's where you have to start recognizing and understanding the other religions that are out there. Okay? So maybe, and I understand that you don't have my global perspective, Kevin, because you do have a specific group that you came from, which I understand that. But I have a different perspective. So that's why I'm like, cringing at the word meditation, because I know how Jehovah's Witnesses feel. I know how they feel. Because I have friends on my Facebook that are Jehovah's Witnesses. I know how some of the born again Christians feel about certain things. And the atheists and all of that, right? And we have to speak to everybody's listening, not just certain segments. So that's perfect. And I think that was a great example. So thank you, Kevin, for being the example. And, and it's a learning process. I mean, it really is. And I'm learning it. You're learning it. We're all learning this stuff. So, wow, that was pretty cool. Okay, all right, I'm going to go, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm doing great, going through my healing process, figuring out the hormone stuff. And it's just, I'm going through my biochemical changes. And I just keep drinking my juice, do what I do. And I see, the changes in me. And, and I want you guys to feel, if you have an addiction like coffee and you can't seem to get off it at all, don't worry about it. Keep drinking your coffee and do the juice. If you have an addiction like you're an alcoholic, do the juice. Don't get off your alcohol. You will be making the decision while you're drinking the juice, because your biochemistry will let you know. And you'll be tapping into and paying attention to all the different manifestations of your body. So as long as the juice, as long as you know loosely what the protocol is, loosely the diet, you understand the antibiotics and all of that, right? That are like, the spices. And so you have a loose understanding of what really to stay away from. But we know people cheat, we know people do stuff, right? Life happens. Make sure the juice is the predominant thing in your life. Regardless of how you live your life, that juice is going to be the center point in some way. And if you have to do waterfalls on once a weekend and you can't do it during the week, that's fine. But try to make it a priority and have it be the main thing, even if you don't stay on the diet 100%. Because eventually your biochemistry is going to change. You're going to see changes. You'll see faster changes if you stay on the diet and you do a lot of the juice. But your biochemistry will, when you're bringing in the nutrients, it will be the one to guide you. Not you intellectualizing what you think you need to do, but your biochemistry will guide you in the right path. Trust yourself. And that's difficult because we're so used to intellectualizing what is good for us. But you have to in the beginning a little bit when it comes to jelly juice. You have to understand the science, and then the rest will, then all of the different layers of programming will peel away. Okay? And then you will figure out who you're going to be. We don't know who the ultimate way to be is. We don't. But we can learn how to speak to different people's listenings. But we don't want to say one way is the end all be all. As long as the juice is there in your life, as long as you get nutrients, that's the end all be all. How you live your life, that's according to whatever you choose, based upon your biochemistry. Okay, that was difficult. Oh my God, that was difficult. All right, bye.